Good afternoon and live from Texas, this is the Will Cain Show. Signed, no longer sealed, and soon to be delivered. The Epstein files could be released any day. President Trump's signature means the DOJ has 30 days to get it done and publish it in a searchable format, a database. And in a shocking turn of events, I agree with Senator Chuck Schumer. There is an expectation for full transparency when it comes to the Epstein files. Redactions from the DOJ under the rubric of protecting victims simply will not work. Most victims at this point have already willingly sacrificed their privacy. They have gone public and demanded transparency. The concerns, for example, from Speaker Mike Johnson, of a creation of new class of victims are legitimate. Anyone's name associated with Jeffrey Epstein is smeared and dragged through the mud. But we have to trust that sunlight is the ultimate disinfectant. We have to trust the American people to understand defamation from the truth. And we want and need the truth. Full transparency on the Epstein files. You will not get the truth, of course, from any Democrat, most notably Jasmine Crockett. It's been quite something to watch Jasmine bottom out. For her, a refresher, this is what she said about Republicans and Epstein on the House floor.
Folks who also took money from somebody named Jeffrey Epstein, as I had my team dig in very quickly: Mitt Romney, the NRCC, Lee Zeldin, George Bush, Win Red, McCain Palin, Rick Lazio. I just want to be clear. If this is the standard that we're going to make, just know we're going to expose it all. And just know that the FEC filings, they are available for everybody to review. This is absolutely ridiculous.
They're there for everybody to review. It just takes a little bit of critical thinking, or perhaps more pointedly, just a little bit of honesty. You won't get that from Jasmine Crockett. EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin, among the others that she named, quickly clapped back, pointing out that there's more than one Jeffrey Epstein in the world. She, of course, referenced a Jeffrey Epstein, having donated to Zeldin long after the death of the Jeffrey Epstein. Today, she pleads ignorance.
I never said that it was that Jeffrey Epstein. Just so that people understand, when you make a donation, your picture is not there. And because they decided to spring this on us in real time, I wanted the Republicans to think about what could potentially happen, because I knew that they didn't even try to go through the FEC. So my team, what they did is they Googled. And that is specifically why I said a Jeffrey Epstein. Unlike Republicans, I at least don't go out and just tell lies. Because it was not the same one, that's fine. But when Lee Zeldin had something to say, all he had to say was it was a different Jeffrey Epstein. He admitted that he did receive donations from a Jeffrey Epstein, so at least I wasn't trying to mislead people. Now, have I dug in to find out who this doctor is? I have not. So I will trust and take what he says, is that it wasn't that Jeffrey Epstein, but I was not attempting to mislead anybody. I literally had maybe 20 minutes before I had to do that debate.
Does your head hurt? That is a word salad, a soup, a vomitous, voluminous quantity of words, none of which really make sense when strung together in a sentence. Other than, yeah, I lied, but it didn't mean that I lied. Here's the thing, Crockett knew it was a crock. She knew it was probable that it was another Jeffrey Epstein. That's why she said a Jeffrey Epstein. There are 300 Jeffrey Epsteins around the country, according to one database. But she used that lie, of course, which she says she didn't use to mislead when she was telling that lie, because she wanted to drag Republicans like Lee Zeldin through the mud. Here's Zeldin now on X. When you find yourself in a hole, it's best to stop digging. The public FEC report Crockett referenced in the House floor very clearly states that the Jeffrey Epstein who donated to my past campaign was a physician. And the donation was well after the other Jeffrey Epstein was already dead. We know the maneuvering of a political animal when we see it. As Riley Gaines points out, I didn't attempt to mislead anybody, says Jasmine Crockett, as she attempts to mislead everybody. Scott Jennings of CNN quipped that Jasmine Crockett is literally the perfect modern Democrat, absolutely perfect. I hope everyone sees this. Just 10 out of 10. No notes performance. I hope you're picking up the sarcasm from Scott Jennings. Of course, the sarcasm is sincere when coming from the media. They love Crockett. The Hill's headline, "Hey, Democrats, want to keep losing? Then keep sidelining Jasmine Crockett." Also from The Hill, Jasmine Crockett can bring the Democrat Party back from the brink. The Atlantic, the Democrat for the Trump era. There are people that vote for Jasmine Crockett, and there are people that love Jasmine Crockett. Like just last week, Charlemagne the God.
Jasmine Crockett is actually what the Democrats should be leaning into, like, because she is a phenomenal messenger. And some people just got it. Like, she is the most effective messenger that the Democratic Party has right now. And they need to be using her as a Trojan horse.
Got what? A horse barrel full of dung? A wheelbarrow full of horse dung? I don't know, maybe he got that from the DNC vice chair, David Hogg, who said something similar to Charlemagne.
Jasmine Crockett, I love her. She is amazing.
Yeah.
I think that people want to see somebody who fights and calls out the bull. I think Jasmine is frankly the type of leader that we're really looking to support in some senses, right?
Then there's Crockett's defense of defiant delegate Stacey Plaskett. You remember Stacey Plaskett texting with a very much alive the Jeffrey Epstein during a House hearing questioning Michael Cohen. Compliments, a lot of sexual tension underneath the surface of these texts. "Nice dress. You look great. Are you chewing?" "No, I have a bad habit of chewing my mouth." That's the melodrama unfolding in text right there while she's sitting in the House chamber. So Stacey Plaskett did the bidding of Jeffrey Epstein when she was questioning Michael Cohen. Now, Jasmine Crockett doing the bidding for Stacey Plaskett and Jeffrey Epstein, the constituent.
Now, I haven't sat down and talked about all the specifics of why Stacey was doing what she was doing. I know that when she got up and she spoke, she talked about the fact that this is one of her constituents. At the end of the day, what I know of prosecutors is that they are typically talking to co-defendants. The bigger question is, why is the President of the United States not the one that is in the hot seat for his relationship, instead of us saying, oh, you know what, we're going to take her off of her committee because he decided to text her. Stacey didn't initiate that chain. Jeffrey initiated that chain, and she took the information.
I didn't text Epstein. Epstein texted me. What we didn't all realize that Plaskett was double secret undercover, doing the job of a prosecutor, getting to the truth behind Jeffrey Epstein. Not buying it? Well, it doesn't look like either Hakeem Jeffries.
Do you regret that Stacey Plaskett did what she did, and is that something that you would tell other Democrats not to do in the future?
I think that Stacey Plaskett has spoken extensively on this issue, and I'll let her words speak for themselves.
So, shockingly, we can't turn to Jasmine Crockett or Stacey Plaskett for the truth when it comes to Jeffrey Epstein, but the truth still matters, and that's why we need transparency.
Want even more Fox News on YouTube? Become a Fox News Patriot today. Click join to find out how.